Edward Griffin with us on the program today. FreedomForceInternational.org. Go over there, check them out, read their Freedom Creed, join up, support them. I think that can only really help matters. Please at least check them out. Tell other people about them as well. Ed, you're so generous with your time. I appreciate you being with. I know you're going to go on a sabbatical here in a bit and work on some new projects. Give us your predictions for 2010, though, Ed. What do you see happening this year? And look into your crystal ball for us.
Well, Jack, when you mentioned that just before the break, I pulled up the notes that I prepared for my crash course on money. It was a seminar that I'd been doing toward the end of the year. And I dealt with that issue here. I'm not saying this is going to happen in 2010 because I don't know the exact time, but I did deal with the question of what is going to happen if there are no changes. And by that I mean if we don't change the thinking of the people in Washington, if we don't change the politicians that are running the show in Washington, then, of course, policies are predictable.
Yeah, real change, not Obama change.
Yeah, real change, yes. And so I said if there is no change, we will see a command economy similar to the Soviet Red Chinese model. We'll see further bailouts and transfers of wealth. We'll see further destruction of the middle class, further dumbing down of the population, further expansion of the Social Security and health care system, leading first to their utter collapse because they can't afford it, and then to their transfer to the tax base. We'll see more false flag operations made to look like terrorist attacks to keep the public traumatized and grateful for additional loss of freedom in the name of national security. We'll see the replacement of the dollar by a regional or international currency, an intensification of the Republican versus Democrat charade in which voters believe they're being offered a real choice. We'll see increasing public anger and dissent bordering on rebellion, the implementation of efficient crowd control measures with large numbers of people rounded up and sent to FEMA internment camps. We'll see the disappearance or accidental death of leaders in the freedom movement, and, of course, the final emergence of high-tech feudalism in the form of global government based on the model of collectivism.
Wow.
Now, I'm not going to say that's all going to happen in 2010.
We could avoid that, though. Yeah.
We can avoid it because this is all on the assumption if there are no substantial changes. So we better get focused here, folks, on bringing about some substantial changes in Washington.
Ed, all of that would have happened if we hadn't put up a resistance in 2009. I truly believe that. I know people sometimes feel a little frustrated that we're not accomplishing enough fast enough, but think about how it would be if you put up no resistance whatsoever.
Oh, the game would have been over.
Yeah, the oligarchs are waiting in the wings to be named by the Russian command here in the United States, and they'll be given large sectors of our industry and economy to run it just as they're doing in Russia right now.
Yeah, of course.
I've never asked you about this, I don't believe. Have you written on or looked into the CAFR, the Comprehensive Annual Financial Reports? Your comments on that?
Well, Jack, I have looked into it at some length. And, of course, it's shocking. I'm not yet 100% convinced that it is as it appears to be. I suspect that it is, but I need a little more independent verification because most of this information is all coming from one source so far. And I don't feel comfortable with that until I see some verification from at least one and preferably two other sources.
Yeah, Walter Burien is pretty convincing. But
he is pretty convincing.
We do want more sources, and I think he feels a little bit alone that more people aren't looking into it and helping expose it as well. But I'm glad I got a chance to ask you that. Well, Ed, it's just been a tremendous year in 2009. You be safe, okay? We need you here in 2010, and I look forward to a time when we can get together and have a beer and talk more about this. In the legend of Ezra Pound, and here is G. Edward Griffin on the program with us today. Best to you. A Happy New Year to you, Ed, and thank you for spending time with us.
All right. Thank you, Jack, and all you're doing. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for being here. FreedomForceInternational.org, folks, and that is certainly something you can get behind. If you're out there looking and maybe a little bit lost and you don't know what horse to back, this is a horse you don't have to actually back and get on, but you can learn a lot from going over there. So FreedomForceInternational.org and support them as I do as well. I'm very honored to be in the Hall of Honor over there. And And I think that is at least some verification that the work I've done all these years does amount to something.